Hi, Scott. Thank you for coming in and talking with me today. Tell me what's going on with you.
Pretty frustrated lately. I'm pretty overwhelmed. It's last year of school, senior year. Right now I have 4 projects going on right now, group projects, and trying to find time to do that. Work in my marriage, internship with Sean Burke and Polk, and the side work that I do. I can't juggle it anymore.
So you feel completely overwhelmed because you can't find the time to do it all.
There's never enough time in the day. I'm tired all the time. I can't even stay awake in one of my classes. Sit there and fight myself to stay awake. I have no problem at work. It's always schoolwork. When I get home, I can't even focus. I'm so tired.
So you're saying you feel tired in things that may not be as interesting to you because you said you weren't tired at work, but at school and doing only schoolwork, you're more tired.
I guess you could say that, yeah. I'm I'm really ready to have a full time job. I'm ready to put everything that I have into that. And I guess what they call it senioritis. Just like everybody else, just ready to be done. Ready to be done with the year, ready to be done with all the projects. Um, Pretty much everybody's overwhelmed right now, and I'm probably the only one that's working 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do what and it's my fault because I didn't get my degree right after I graduated high school, and it takes me longer to get the material down.
So you feel incapable because you're trying to juggle everything and it doesn't seem to be working out well for you.
I'm pretty worried that I'm gonna make myself sick
Mm-hmm.
because normally I get about 4 hours of sleep a night. We go to bed at 12:30. I'm up at 4:30 the next day. I'm out the door by 5:30, and I'm at work by 6:30. And sometimes I don't even get home till 6. And I know a lot of other people do the stuff that they have to do. It's taking its toll on me. And then to have to work Saturday and Sunday, I'm basically working 7 days a week. It's
So
hard.
so you're having a hard time juggling that and everything else, and you're also on top of that worried that you're going to get sick.
If I was actually if it was a full time job and I was making money, working 7 days a week, I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's the fact that I'm going from one thing to the other and my mind's constantly having to change.
So you feel scattered because you're doing all these things and you can't just concentrate on one thing.
Yeah. But then again, I know that when I'm working and I got 4 different bosses giving me 4 different projects at the same time. I understand I'm gonna be pulled from one thing to the other, but all centers around the same basis. It's all work related. It's not. I'm at work for 2 hours and then I get in the car and I drive to school. I'm there for an hour. I get back in the car and I drive back to work. And this happens all day long, every day.
So you feel pulled from both ways.
I want to be. I don't think I'd be happy if I was just at school all day, but I know that I'd be happy if I was at work all day.
So you enjoy your job.
Very much so. I really enjoy my job. And it may not be the most glamorous thing to other people, but I really don't care. I enjoy it. Is that old saying that you don't feel like you're going to work when you actually love the job you're doing? You don't feel like it's work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I feel. I really dig it. I really enjoy it. I like going to the job sites and checking to make sure that the contractors are following the specifications and the plan sets to the T. And I like being at work because I like working on the plans and actually learning how they actually draw the stuff up.
So you feel really excited because you enjoy the work that you're doing.
hmm It's it's interesting to me. Ever since I was a kid, I'd been in construction. My dad had been in construction, and I'd been around plan sets my whole life. But I always wondered, how do they do that? How do they know to do that? And so when we talked about, why don't you become a civil engineer because of your background, I never thought it'd be like this. I mean, I know how to calculate everything and the reason why they use certain materials in buildings. And I've learned that all from school. And now with work, I get to apply what I had learned in school, which, to be honest, what you learn in school is nothing compared to what you do outside.
So you feel like school isn't preparing you well enough?
No, I think it over prepares us.
Oh.
It over prepares us. In school, everything is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very broken up, and you cover so many things in a short amount of time. But at work, you may be working on the same thing that has to do with the same thing for a month, 2 months. And so it's easier to learn that part of the job because you're doing it for so long. But in school, you cover it for a week, maybe that, do a couple homeworks, you expect to know it. Especially with engineering, you have to do problem after problem after problem until it starts making sense. I mean, in structures right now, we're learning the difference between different beams, like different steel members that are used in buildings. But you can't just use any piece of steel because they all support different weights. They support different loads. They do different things. And all this stuff is calculable. Is that a word? Calculable. I don't know. You can calculate things based on what the dimensions, based on everything.
So you feel like your school and your work are on like two separate levels.
Yeah, it's with work, the design part has pretty much been done for years until governing members or governing societies come up with new ways of doing it. You pretty much can't go out on your own. You can design a different building, but there are government entities that basically tell you what you can and cannot do. And so with the company that I work for, we're regulated by TCEQ, which is the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality. And they basically tell us, this is how much water you're supposed to produce, this is what your structure is supposed to look like and what it's supposed to do. So really, all we're doing is drawing up plans and signing it so that there's a legal document binding somebody to that project.
Do you ever feel constricted because of that?
Yeah. You can't go out and try anything on your own. But then again, there's the moral obligation to, people's safety is in jeopardy with engineering. Yeah, an engineer has to design based on how the public can be affected before it's some cockamamie idea, some outrageous idea. There's ethics involved and a moral compass that you have to do what engineers do.
So you feel like the safety of the public is the most important thing?
Absolutely it is. That's one of the main things that whenever you take your oath as a professional engineer, that's one of the first things that you do. That you're not gonna, for instance, specifically, civil engineers are the only engineer out of mechanical and electrical. When you get your professional engineering license, you are the only one. Engineers are the only ones that can sign off on different drawings. If an electrical drawing is drawn up, a civil engineer with a PE can actually sign off on it, even though he doesn't know how to do it. The idea is that based on your knowledge and that everything is safe, you're basically backing this. You're putting your signature on this.
So how does that make you feel?
It's kind of scary, to be honest with you. I'm a little worried. I know that'll go away over time. But when I get my professional engineering license and I have to sign off on a document or plan, I better be darn sure that I've checked everything and didn't overlook something. Because if something happens later on down the line, I can be sued.
So you feel worried because you can't make a mistake in this. It has to be
It
perfect.
has to be perfect. It has to be absolutely perfect every time. Now, if it's something that the contractor did, obviously I'm not liable. But if he followed what I put on the plan set and something happened and people died, somebody got hurt, I can be sued for that. I could lose my license. Then everything that I've done was for nothing.
So you're really, really concerned about this.
It would keep you up at night, you know. But I mean, teachers go through the same thing. They can lose their license too. Never be able to teach again. Pretty much any occupation runs that risk. Everybody's in the same boat. With everything that's going on in the world with police officers, people are quick to judge, they lose their job. They have to go on leave. It's the same thing that's going on in the world all over the place. This kind of, it worries me that I'm responsible, but I think it just makes me want to be that much better at my job.
So you feel that because you are responsible, that makes you that much more to do a better job. That way, nothing bad happens.
It makes me more careful.
Mm-hmm.
You spend a little more time making sure the job's done right before you finish. Make sure that you basically look at it as if this was something for me, I would want it perfect. So you have to approach every single job that way,
Like a perfectionist.
like a perfectionist.
But as you stated in the last session, that's how you approach every job.
I try to make sure that I'm not going to have to go back and redo something. I try to make sure that it was done right the first time. Because or else I don't want somebody having to go behind me and doing it.
So you feel like doing your job right the first time is the only way to do it. That's what I hear you saying.
If you have any sense of say it. If you have any sense of we'll say this, if you have any sense of love for other people, you'll make sure that you do any task to the best of your ability.
So you feel so concerned that you want to make sure that no one else gets hurt in the future.
Public safety is number one. That's why we have to be very careful what we do. But it has to be done. Engineers are needed no matter what people say or think. It's not as easy as they think. The school is hard, but the occupation is even harder.
So you feel like people are quick to judge?
Sometimes. I don't think people understand how hard it is what we do. And with school too. I mean, for one problem on our homework takes us 4 hours. And that's just learning how to do it. I got a professor right now that basically hands us notes on a problem that he did, and we have to follow his steps. His handwriting's terrible, and I have to make heads or tails out of it. Plus going to 2 different books to find out characteristics and information on different types of beams. And there are 15 different kinds of steel that are used to make the beams. They all support different loads, and there's hundreds of different sizes of beams. And each one does a different thing.
So you feel overwhelmed because you've got to look at all these different things and
Homework's hard. It's really hard. It's really tough. And then I got foundations, and that's as bad as structures, or as bad as concrete and steel.
So you feel overwhelmed again because you can't seem to manage all of it.
Not in working as much as I am. It's hard. It's really hard.
Scott, thank you for coming in and talking with me today. What I've heard you say through the whole thing is that you feel overwhelmed because of school and work and working two jobs, and you feel like you can't manage all of it together in your time. You've also stated that civil engineers have a lot of responsibility, and you feel concerned about having that much safety on your hands as well. Thank you for coming in and talking with me.